Ready?
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
we're ready.
How are you today?
Terrific.
Fantastic. Well, bigger crowd than I expected, so I always love when there's a lot of good people out here, especially a lot of familiar faces. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Jeff Yoel. I'm the Executive Director of ZooMontana here in Billings. You certainly know ZooMontana has had quite a history here in town. It's a relatively young zoo, only 25 years old, and in the world of zoological parks, that is a baby. We're kind of one of the new kids on the block. Like the group, remember New Kids on the Block? Myself. But in those 25 years, we have certainly had our ups and downs, as many of you know. About 8 years ago, we had our biggest down, and honestly, the place probably should have been shut down. We didn't want to see that happen, so a new administrative team came in with some new ideas and some new beliefs on what ZooMontana could be, and here we are 8 years later, just accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which was quite a milestone for us. We're pretty excited about that, and we're once again, I think, an entity that the community is somewhat proud of. Certainly we still have some work to do, but the support that we have from the Billings community is spectacular, including you guys. You guys were, 7 years ago, we were fortunate to be the recipient of the Quality of Life Run, and that program at the time started the education program, which we're going to talk about today. And so you guys have an integral part in the success of the zoo and in the success of our education program, which is something we are truly excited about. So real quick, I just want to kind of go over what our education program is. So we call our education program Educate. And so Educate, basically, as you can see, is a pretty popular program, and yearly we reach about 20,000 kids, give or take, depending on size of assemblies and what have you. But about 20,000 kids are what we're seeing. Those programs include on-site programs at the zoo, and then also off-site programs, including our outreach and what have you. Down there, you see a couple of our more popular programs, our Zoo Tots. Zoo Tots is a program that's designed for the littlest of the littles, 0 to 2-year-old kids, where they come into the zoo, they get a craft time, a story time, and then they meet the animal that they read about or learn about during that time. Our Indian Ed for All, it's one of the programs we're probably most proud of. This is a program that's in conjunction with School District 2, and what we do is we go into the school, help the teachers teach Indian education and animal culture in Indian education, helps them to facilitate that need that's actually in the state constitution that teachers and schools have to teach Indian education. And so that program is something that's actually taught, again, in conjunction with SD2. They get grant work to get that, so we teach that to all 5th grade classes in the city of Billings, which is pretty fun. Amazing Adaptations is our outreach program where we actually take outreach animals out into the field. And then our Distance Learning program, that's a program that we do. We have a little studio down in our basement where we actually do programs for schools all across the country, where we'll actually do Montana usually based animals and Montana-based programming, again, across the expanses of using technology. And so the goals of our program are pretty simple. The first one, relate, reveal, provoke. What does that mean? Well, that means if I can get into a classroom, I can get in front of a kid, or an adult for that matter, I can... Oh, Amber Alert, that's not good. Yeah, everyone's going crazy out here. Make sure it's none of your kids, everything's okay. Right? All right, perfect. So relate, reveal, provoke. If I can get in front of somebody and relate an animal to them, I can reveal something new to them and I can provoke them to want to care and want to help. And obviously adults are important, but kids are really important. If we can get it in their head that there's something that they can do to help out wildlife out there or help out habitats, that's what we're all about. Inspire. We're all about inspiration, and that's probably our #1 goal. Is we want to inspire kids to dream and to love nature and wildlife, and it's an integral part of their life. It's really important to us. And then the boring stuff, but still obviously very important, is providing educational activities that spark kids' interest to improve science literacy. It's always amazing. People are always surprised, even here in the state of Montana, with the incredible resources we have. Science literacy is at an all-time low, especially in this country, but Montana is not, of course, out of the woods with that as well. And so if we're able to help with that a little bit and help those kids and, again, inspire them about science and about wildlife and about nature, well, that's obviously what we want to do. So these are just some pictures. It might be hard for some of you in the back to see. Just some pictures of some of the programs we do. It's our homeschool program. We've got a homeschool series that we do for the homeschool children. We don't want to leave them out. Obviously, they're an important part of it. This is one of our assembly programs out in one of the gyms. Probably about 200 kids were at that program. We also do a senior safari program where we get out into the senior homes to interact with the elderly. That's a really important program as well. We really enjoy those programs. It's pretty amazing when you know somebody that's 92 years old is able to interact with an animal for the first time in their life. That's pretty special. And then down below is one of our on-site programs where our lynx actually came to the program and got to interact with the kids in the program. And so, what does this grant do for us? So, if we were to be the recipient of one of these grants from you guys, what will it do? Well, the dollars go a long way, and that's what I think is so cool about the education program is that the budget that we have in place for this particular grant would actually help us bolster our whole program through biofacts. And what the heck is a biofact? Well, basically these types of things. So this here is actually a grizzly bear skull. I don't think that is. Isn't that crazy? Imagine getting chomped down by that. So these types of things. This is a pelt of a wolverine. This is the skull of a wolverine. These types of things are really important for us for our program so kids can actually touch. Obviously when kids come to the zoo, they can't touch a grizzly bear. Wish they could, but they can't. And so obviously the best thing is by having a pelt or a skull. We're in desperate need of some new biofacts. It's something that we've never really had a good selection of, and it's something that we need to be able to bring in to again, bolster that collection up a little bit. For a kid to be able to touch a skull or to feel what a wolverine feels like, touch is vital, and kids really retain that information when they're able to feel it and be a part of it. So that's an important part of it. We're also going to bring in technology. Technology is everywhere, as you guys know. We need to upgrade our distance learning program so it's easier for schools to use in conjunction with the materials that they have. And so we want to bring in a new software, a new computer for our distance learning program. Not to mention we want to bring in Chromebooks. We want to buy 4 Chromebooks that we can actually utilize during our summer camps so the kids can actually do their own research during our summer camps, especially the older kids' summer camps, where they're actually going to be in the field doing a little bit of science work with water studies and what have you. And then providing tools. And by tools, I mean activities. We want to do new tracking. We want to be able to track wildlife. And so little kits like this where you can actually do resin tracks that you can actually find right at the zoo. We have rubber scat that we want to purchase. I know that sounds weird, but kids love poop, and it's a great project. And so we do a lot of poop work. And so obviously, I don't want to give them real poop to handle. Parents don't get real happy about that. So believe it or not, they make resin and rubber poo that we can actually. So things like that are really important. And then activities. One of the examples I brought, this is a big finger painting fish that kids can make. And so activities like that get the kids hands-on. We want to make their learning fun when they're part of the zoo. And so those types of activities are really, really crucial for our programming. And then the other big part of it is just the partnership. We value the partnerships that we have in this town. And we have some amazing partnerships in this town. You guys being one of them, but you name it, we've probably collaborated or partnered with them. We were joking with YVAS in here. Incredible organization, and we love to help them when needed and vice versa. We're not here to compete, we're here to partner. And I think that's a really important thing. And I wanted to show you real quick just a fun video here next of a program that we partnered with that we're really proud of at the zoo. We partnered with the St. Vincent Healthcare, and the San Diego Zoo to create videos that are actually played in children's hospitals around the world. Now, albeit it's a San Diego Zoo program, but they came to ZooMontana, liked what they saw, and wanted us to be a part of it. And so these videos are played literally around the world in children's rooms. Basically, it's its own zoo channel. Obviously, animals can really, really impact kids, and by having these channels there for them, it's pretty important. So this is just one of the videos that we're most proud of that I wanted to show for you here today. So real quick. Oh man, what did I do? Let's see if I can play that. Sorry, it's my mug you gotta see there. Let's see if we can get that going here. Oop, wrong one. Uh-oh. See if I pause it there. Sure. Oh, no problem. try that again.
Not Mary. Mary will
Okay.
fix it.
You guys are so
Yeah.
good. Technology. See, this is why we need help. Because I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, that. Oh, that.
Nice. All right, let's try it again.
That's for this. How does it play, Jeff? Does it?
Oh, I just hit the rate. I just clicked it and it started.
Oh, just.
Best friends, like me and you.
That's even though we're besties. I'm talking about grizzly bears, like the ones you work with every day. So today we're going to talk about best friends. And two of the best friends we have here at ZooMontana are Ozzy and Bruno. And Ozzy came to us after being a trouble bear in Yellowstone. He's almost like a real-life Yogi the Bear. He was getting into trash cans, causing problems at campsites, and came to us not looking so good. And after he came to the zoo, our whole job was to acclimate him to living here at ZooMontana. But the problem is he was pretty scared of noises, trucks, airplanes, things that might scare you at night, scared Ozzy the same way you might get scared when you're going to sleep. So here's the thing, is we decided to give him a best friend, because when things are going bad, there's nothing like a friend to make you feel better. So we introduced him to Bruno, our big bear. He's a big boy, about 700 pounds. And when the introduction first happened, you can imagine things didn't start off so good. Bruno jumped on top of him, sat on him for 2 hours, and let him know, hey, I'm the boss. But guess what? Even though I'm the boss, I'm gonna be your friend. And the two have been best buds ever since. You can watch him wrestle, you can watch him play, and the best thing is, it's helped Ozzy out. There's nothing like a best friend to make you feel better when you're scared at a new location, and Ozzy is a prime example of that.
That's cute.
If you have a big brother or big sister or even a little brother or little sister, you know sometimes you need each other. And these two are no different. Nothing like a good friend to make you feel better when you're feeling down and out. Yeah, so the whole kind of premise behind that was that kids that were scared because they were in the hospital, maybe away from their friends, knew that they could rely on somebody. And so that was just one of the many videos that we've done in conjunction with them. And so those type of partnerships are really valuable to us. Again, it's not about us making money, and this education program is exactly that. We don't care about making money in our education program. It's the only area of the zoo that we don't care about making money as a nonprofit. But the education program is far too important to worry about money. What's important is being able to get out there in front of the kids, get out there in front of you, and educate and get you excited about wildlife and excited about animals and excited about these creatures that we may not like, but they really are important to our everyday life. And so that's a really important part of it. And so partnerships like this help us and allow us to be able to do these programs at a very affordable rate and at a rate that, again, we don't have to worry about making money. So with that said, I do one critter for you. YVS had a dog. I brought an owl. And I brought a cute little owl. I know, right? Look how cute this little thing is. He's adorable. So this little guy, his name is Scout, and he's what we call an Eastern Screech Owl. And the first thing you probably notice at the bottom are his giant peepers. He's got some giant eyeballs. And that left eye in particular, completely black. Well, the reason is this guy was hit by a car. And if you don't know, we get animals at the zoo 3 different ways. One is by ex-pets. Believe it or not, you would be shocked to know what animals people have as pets as home. Bruno the grizzly bear you saw on there was an example of that. Somebody had him in their backyard in an 8x8 dog crate. Not a good idea. So that's number 1. Number 2, injury, and that's what this guy is. So this guy came to us because he was hit by a car. And he got hit by the car, smacked him pretty good, and unfortunately blew out that eyeball. And so he is blind in that eye, and unfortunately because of that, one-owled eyes don't hunt very well. So for that reason, he has been deemed unreleasable and came over to us. The third way we get animals are part of what we call the SSP, or Species Survival Program. Basically what that means is they are animals that are selected worldwide. It's an international program that we need to breed for genetic purity for re-release into the wild. Hopefully not, but maybe one day. And so our red pandas are a prime example of that, the Wolverine program, the Takin program, and again, only bred when we feel the need, or internationally, the need is felt. But back to this guy here, obviously the other thing you notice about him besides those eyes are his size. And the cool thing about this little cutie is he's full grown. That's as big as he's gonna get. But despite that small size, these little guys are really good little hunters. They of course have pretty powerful feet that allow them to grab their food like mice and rats and what have you. And then of course that beak to tear apart the meat. Now those eyes, back to those eyes for just a minute. There's a problem with them. They're so big that there's no room behind his eyeballs for muscles. So he can't move his eyes from side to side like we can. So instead, he turns his head almost all the way around, about 3/4 of the way, 270 degrees, and that's what allows him to, of course, have peripheral vision. But the problem is when he's hunting down and he's like crossing a street and he might see a mouse on the street, he may fly down to get that mouse, but he can't see to the side that car coming and boom, he gets hit. So unfortunately, why birds of prey get hit so often out in the wild by vehicles. But nonetheless, this little guy, because like I said, eating mice, rats, things like that. Now the cool thing about when they eat is how they eat. They swallow their food whole, in most cases, unless it's something huge. But something like this guy, he's gonna take a mouse, he's gonna grab it, he's going to gulp it down. And what's going to happen is that's going to go down into his belly, and as it goes into his belly, it's actually going to go through a little meat grinder we call a gizzard. And I know some of you out there eat gizzards. I'm not going to talk about that today. It's nasty. But hey, if you do, all power to you. But these guys have one, and it grinds up that mouse. Well, what's going to happen is that mouse then is going to grind up, and all the meat's going to go through his body, and he's going to digest it. But everything else, like the meat, the bones, the teeth, all that stuff he doesn't, I'm sorry, the fur, the teeth and the bones, all the stuff he doesn't want to digest, he's going to throw it up. And in the morning, we're going to find that little pellet inside of his house, and we can actually open that pellet and dissect it and recreate the entire skeleton of that, of course, mouse that he just ate. Now that's a fun, great program that we do with kids is we dissect cow pellets all the time. It's hilarious because it grosses them out, but it's so much fun, especially when they get into it. And then, they find, we had one we actually did not too long ago over at, I believe, Ponderosa Elementary, and a kid found a mink skull. And that was pretty unique. You don't usually find skulls that big, but sure enough, it was a mink skull, and it was pretty impressive to see. So nonetheless, pretty cool stuff. And so this little guy, his name is Scout, by the way. We think he's about 10 years old. We don't know for sure because it did come from the wild, but just by the way he looks and his feet, a lot of times you can age birds by their feet. We think he's about 10 years old. They live about 3 to 4 years out in the wild. Obviously they're going to live longer at the zoo because they have vet checks. They don't have to worry about food or other elements, and so he's going to have a little bit longer of a lifespan. One final question or thing that everybody always asks me is, you can't really see, but on the top of his head he's got these little ear tufts. Everybody says, what cute ears. They're not his ears at all. They're just feathers, and they're just there to help him blend in with his environment. So he kind of blends in, kind of looks like sticks sticking up. His ears are actually on the side of his head like ours are. He's got one ear up here and one ear a little bit lower. They're not symmetrical like ours are. And the reason that is, it allows him to triangulate the sound to pinpoint the exact location where his food is at. And that's why owls have a round face. It's kind of like a big satellite or radar dish. Helps him to kind of collect that sound in. The best hearing owl out there is actually the barn owl. They're not found in Montana, but they are found in Wyoming. And they can actually hear a mouse a football field away under 2 feet of snow.